Even before Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced relaxed COVID-19 measures on Wednesday, Mr. Dennis Chung shared his position about the lockdowns aimed at curtailing the COVID-19 virus. But here with us this morning, he shares some information about the lockdown measures so far. Have they been working? Have they not? Hi, and happy birthday to you, Dennis Chung.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Dale. How you doing? How you doing, Neville?
Morning, sir, Dennis. Great to see you. Great to see you. I pray that you have an amazing day, sir, and I hope that you live to see so many.
I see that you and Dale have matching tops.
Almost. Almost. What were your reservations before? As Delia said, before it even happened, you had some utterances. So what were your reservations before? And it came from where? Is this best practices, or this is just a Dennis Chung idea?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have always, I run numbers, right? And when I looked at it, I've always maintained that a measure of lockdown, as we see in the United States, is not sustainable because you're talking about a virus, right? And a virus will always be with you. So you want to more enforce protocol. But particularly in the case of Jamaica, where we're all the time on the brink of poverty and economic disaster, to have anything that upsets economic activity, there's not a lot of income that is in savings, and if you were to lock down, for example, as has been done in the US is able to give you money, and also, they can provide a lot of stimulus after, as they do with the infrastructure package that they've just approved of over $1 trillion. We can't afford that, and therefore the stopping of economic activity must always be a last resort. And even in the US now, they're basically fully open, because they realize the damage that it can do. Millions of people in the US are on the verge of homelessness, so they have to try and get the economy back up. And it's on that basis that I said that, because when you look at Jamaica's economic performance over the past 6 quarters, we've gone down an average of 5.6% per quarter over the past 6 quarters.
Woo.
In the US and other countries, they're basically flat over the past 6 quarters. So I come first from that angle. The second thing, though, is that the social dislocation that causes in terms of crime and that sort of thing is just not sustainable. I mean, we have 150,000 children that can be accounted for in the school system. Those children are going to go into criminal activities, many of them, So we can't afford that. And then the third thing, when I ran the numbers, I mean, if you have like a 10% positivity rate, then a lockdown for a period of maybe 2 or 3 weeks will help. But if you look at it logically, a virus that has an incubation of 5 to 12 days, if you lock down for 3 days, then you're still in the incubation period of the virus. But not only that, if you have a population of 10,000 and you have a positivity rate of 40%, it means that 4,000 people have it. And if you have an infection rate of 1.1 per infected person, it means that in the next week or two, another 4,400 people will have it. So therefore, the remaining amount of people left to have it is 1,600. So whether you had a lockdown or not, the positivity rate was always going to decline. And at a 40% positivity rate, it was going to decline relatively quickly, irrespective of what you did. Because if you also assume that each household has an average of 3 persons per household, you can safely assume that at least 1 person per household has the virus on average, right?
Okay.
So you see that it really does not do much at that point, at that positivity rate.
Okay.
I'm sighing, Dennis, because I'm trying to find the solution here, because the economists give one argument, the medical professionals give another, the social workers give another, and so we have all these disparate ideas coming together, and I'm trying to find where do we meet in the middle. Yes, the economy has to survive, but then we don't have the hospitals if more people contract the virus. So what is the solution within our Jamaican reality?
All right. Well, the solution has to be a mixing. Number one, I'm a proponent of the curfews. I think that the curfews have to continue, and certain activities such as entertainment and particularly large entertainment events has to be restricted. And I personally believe that we should get to a point where, you know, if you're having cinemas open and plays, that you should demand that people who enter those places are fully vaccinated. The other thing is that the vaccines are essential, and I think it's important. And I think the Ministry of Health has been doing a relatively good job. I think there are some improvements that can be made in terms of the logistics. I mean, personally, I think that even with the current capacity we have, if we just improve the logistics at the vaccination sites, we can increase the efficiency by about 30%. We have to have the protocol being enforced also. So the mask wearing, the social distancing. One of the things, for example, places like Price Mart and Mega Mart, I think that you shouldn't have any in-store shopping. It should be totally pick up, curbside pick up and delivery, you know, because when you go into a Price Mart and those places, the place is packed. Those places are super spreaders, right? So we have to have creative solutions.
Yes, I'm interjecting, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I said to someone the other day, often when we have these conversations, and we cite, and not just you, just in general, when we cite places like Price Mart and etc., we are taking into consideration a certain type of Jamaican. But then we have to look at the wholesales as well, and we have to look at the corner shops as well. And how will they manage? Because not everybody can go in and buy sugar for a month. Some people going to buy a big jill of oil today and a big jill 2 days from now. So I feel like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like we have a general picture, but I don't know if the general picture reflects the mass of Jamaican people and their reality.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things I would do, I mean, the corner shops and all those places, I would still keep them open, because you have to, although you want to stop as much gathering as possible, you have to also allow for economic activity to take place, because poverty is one of the worst things for this virus. You know, I mean, when you talk about, for example, you're telling people in the inner city to stay at home. When they go on the road, that is social distancing for them, because you're talking about 10 people to a household, right, or a tenement yard, right? So we have to consider all of those realities, right? So that's why I mentioned certain places that I would say that have the infrastructure for delivery and have the infrastructure for online, you know? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't leave out the pan chicken man, for example, too. I mean, even though you have the curfew hours, when you're driving in your car, you can't spread the virus. So why not allow people, for example, to drive up to those places and buy? You know, you don't come out of your car. You know, so those are some of the solutions that we have to think about to keep the economic activity going and control it. And I think the government has a very difficult job in it, and they've been doing relatively well under the circumstances. Yeah. But we have to think a little further outside of the box to get everyone involved in the process, you know, and keep people safe, but keep the activity going at the same time. And I mean, on the lockdown days, when California had lockdowns, for example, one of the things that they recognize is the importance of exercise. So they say, you know, even though we're locked down, you can go outside and exercise, you know, because the last thing we want is for people to stay home and be inactive. Yeah. You know, that just propagates the spread of the virus.
Yep. So Dennis, later broached already. I don't know if I disagree with anything you have said thus far. But truth be told, and it seems like the numbers have been going down. I think day before yesterday it was 100 and something. It was the lowest I saw it in a little while. So what do you say to the medical person who said, Virgin, if you keep it up, nobody can come to the hospital? I mean, not about COVID. If I get sick, I can't go there because the COVID people then fill up the hospital. What do you say to those people? And I hear you. I hear you. You're an economist. I agree with you that people must live, people must survive. And the Prime Minister did say a long time ago that he has to balance people's livelihood and people staying alive. So what do you say to that person that said, boy, the numbers are going down because of the lockdown measures. The hospital can't have some bed now because of the lockdown measures, if that's the reason it has worked. What do you say to that person?
What I would say is that I understand what they're going through, right? And number one, I think the field hospitals we should have developed, rolled them out a long time ago. You know, we knew from last year that this thing was here, and I've always been maintaining we should have built out the field hospitals, the capacity, because we knew a lot of people were going to get it. But when we started the lockdown, we had 511 persons in hospitals. After about 3 up to 4 weeks after lockdown, we had 800 and something, right? So naturally, that rate of hospitalization was always going to go up, right? Lockdown or no lockdown, it was always going to go up because there was that period where the virus was going to spread because it was already at a 40% rate. As I said, if it was at 10%, we would have stood the chance of reducing it, but at 40% positivity and an infection rate of 1.1, it was always on the cards that most of the people are going to get it anyway. So, you know, that is the difference. At 10% positivity rate, that different sort of strategy than a 40%.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you think about, Dennis? I mean, in some countries, yes, there's like the US, for example, yes, there's a federal approach to disaster risk, but then each state has its own model because each state is different. And I feel like here in Jamaica, the local government should be allowed, I think, some type of flexibility to determine what happens in their own parishes and in their own communities because they know the idiosyncrasies of their area. I feel like there's a big plan and the curfew is this and the lockdown is this, but I don't know if it speaks to the reality of Westmoreland and Hanover as opposed to Kingston and St. Thomas.
There is some truth in that. There should be some consultation happening. And the truth is that we do have some sort of division. For example, we have the tourism corridor, the resilient corridor, and that has done very well. I mean, kudos to Ed Bartlett, you know, and his team for managing that. I think that has done very well. But I agree with you, Delia. The local governments should be allowed some more flexibility, you know, in terms of managing that process, because there's peculiarities amongst parishes, even though we're a very small country.
Yeah.
You know, I agree with you.
Bye, my friend. Thanks this morning. Good to see you. Again, enjoy your day, sir. Happy birthday once again, and I pray you live to see so many, many more. And hopefully sooner than later, you'll be beside us instead of...
I'm fully vaccinated, you know, so...
well, actually, we are too, so we probably can talk a little bit more. Stay safe. God bless you. Dennis Chung. They say social commentator. He's also an economist and obviously knows what he's talking about. Soon